What is up guys, Eric here from Real Film Reviews bringing you another movie review, this time for the new Bond film, Spectre. Before I get into the movie, I do want to apologize for the lateness of this review. I was sick all of last weekend and had no voice, so I was unable to do this review, but let's get into it now. Spectre is the fourth Daniel Craig Bond film following Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, and now Spectre. This movie revolves around James Bond post the events in Skyfall, which I do not want to spoil in case someone has not seen Skyfall. He is basically given a task of finding a man, and he is supposed to kill this man. However, he's not been trained or given the instructions by the government themselves for him to go complete this mission. This is a completely, I guess freelance is the word, but illegal is the better word of the things he's going and doing. So this movie revolves around the fact that he is trying to complete a task that has not been approved for him to go complete, while at the same time, he has the backing of MI6, but at the same time, another corporation is slowly taking over MI6 and is going to basically get rid of the 007 program, which was actually one of my favorite aspects of this film, was the side storyline that Bond wasn't even actually involved in. It was involving the aspect of the 00 program in a license to kill format. And it was interesting because it was painting Bond and these few 00 agents as these last of a dying breed type of assassins. These people that we won't need anymore because we have drones that can just blow up a building. But Ray Fiennes' character actually had a quote that I really enjoyed where he said, the point of having these people is because you have to know when to pull the trigger and when not to. And when not to is the more important point here, because if you're dropping a bomb from a drone, you don't know whether you're supposed to pull that trigger because you just do it. And I think that that is honestly the most interesting part of this story, and it's my favorite part of these Bond films in general with Craig, because they take these issues where it may not go in depth with the social issue that's there, but it does bring up a good point about how we are moving more towards technology and less towards human soldiers, and it's kind of making it a less humane fight. Maybe that got a little serious right there, but I think that is a very interesting point that these Bond movies bring up. Now, the other things about this movie, of course, James Bond, played by Daniel Craig, is great. Christoph Waltz playing the mysterious villain in the film, he's great. And then Ray Fiennes is great. And Batista, who played Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy, comes back as a sort of just mercenary character, hired assassin type of guy, and he's really good. There's a super stunning fight scene in this movie with him and Daniel Craig, and he was actually really fun in the movie, even though he doesn't really have that integral of a role to the story itself. Now, the whole story of this movie was actually really interesting because it covers this sort of secret organization that Bond is hunting this man that is a member of, and it slowly just kind of unwinds what's happening there, and it was really enjoyable, and it was almost kind of like a mystery film in some moments when Bond was trying to figure things out, and I really enjoyed that about this Bond film in particular. Now, the things this movie did not get right, for one thing, Christoph Waltz is in this movie for such a small amount of time, and he's so good, it's so disappointing that he isn't in it more, because he's great. I mean, Christoph Waltz is always great, but he's really good as a villain in this movie. Like, I don't know if he's the best Bond villain we've had yet, because I think Mads in Casino Royale is kind of the best because he sort of was this physical, like, brute towards Bond, where the other villains we have had haven't really been that way. But his intelligence and the way that he handles the situations with Bond are what make him a much more interesting character. Now, one thing that could be viewed as a pro by some people and a con by others, it is a con for me, is this movie goes back to some of the older James Bond cheesiness in some of its sequences, and it wasn't necessarily bad, like it wasn't poorly done, but it just didn't really fit with the way they've built these new Bond films, in my opinion. And it kind of took me out of the movie a little bit because it was just really cheesy in some moments, but it did not ruin the film by any means. The other thing that this Bond film did that was very different was it had very little action in it, actually. There were a few different moments in the film. There was like a car chase and, you know, a fist fight and things like that that you always get in a Bond film, but in terms of just general, like, gunfights and things like that, it was much lower on it than previous Bond films have been, so it was sort of disappointing because we didn't really get to see those badass shootout moments in this film. I'm going to give Spectre a B. Overall, it was a good Bond film. It had a very compelling villain that I wish we would have had more of, and it had cool action sequences that I wish we would have had more of as well. If you're a Bond fan, of course go check out this movie. It's cool, you will enjoy it, I know you will. But if you are just a general fan of action films, you may not enjoy this as much, because it definitely has a lot of those older James Bond tropes involved in the film. Well, as always guys, I'm Eric. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of Spectre, share everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and I hope to see you guys later.